No. I did a little bit better than you. We're gonna.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
Falsetto fight. Falsetto fight.
Taking you down now. Taking you down now. Take it outside.
So LUXXURY, today we're covering one of my favorite disco tracks of all time. We've been waiting to do this one for a while, and I'm pumped.
Oh my God, me too. I absolutely adore this song. And what would this song be without the infectious falsetto of trailblazing queer icon Sylvester?
Yes, which is why we have a very special guest to help us on our deep dive into this song by Sylvester and his incredible vocals. You don't want to miss it. We're talking one song, and that song is You Make Me Feel Mighty Real by Sylvester. I'm actor, writer, director, and sometimes DJ Diallo Riddle.
And I'm producer, DJ, songwriter, and musicologist LUXXURY, aka the guy who whispers interpolation.
And this is One Song,
the show where we break down the stems and stories behind iconic songs across genres, telling you why they deserve one more listen.
You will hear these songs like you've never heard them before. And if you want to watch One Song, you can do so on YouTube and Spotify. While you're there, please like and subscribe. So today we have a special guest. He's a highly sought-after vocal coach who's worked on NBC's The Voice for over 10 seasons. He's also worked with A-list talents such as Selena Gomez, J-Lo, Coldplay, and Lenny Kravitz. Please give a warm welcome to Stevie Mackey.
Yay!
Thank you.
So Stevie, you and Sylvester both grew up singing in the church. I think
Absolutely.
That's where we want to start. What do you think gospel singing gives a vocalist that's hard to get anywhere else?
That's very true. That statement, you can't get what you get in church in a school or in any other form of education.
Yeah.
You can't get it on the streets. Gospel came out
Nobody
of...
ever says, I grew up singing in school.
Right. I mean, blues music split into gospel, and it was really the world and the church. The world went into more jazz, and you have scatting that developed out of that.
Totally.
Copying the horns. But then there was another road that went to gospel. Gospel was holy music. It wasn't like blues. You had a lot of copying keyboards. And so you got what we call now as runs that came out of gospel music.
Never thought of that.
Yeah. Which was a mix of like Negro spirituals and copying organs and keyboards.
Yeah.
So there was a actual sound split that happened. And that didn't really rejoin until Sam Cooke and Ray Charles came together and Aretha, in the 1950s and 60s and joined gospel with popular music.
Yeah.
And gospel went to number one many, many times. We just in different forms. But gospel was really one of the first American genres. I would say gospel birthed so many American genres.
Absolutely.
It is half talking and half singing.
We're only 3 minutes in the episode, and I've never heard it put that running is copying the keyboard. I knew the scatting was copying the drums. I don't know how that missed me. Have you ever thought of that?
I never thought about it that way. No, that's
insane.
It's humans copy instruments, and then instruments copy humans. It's a very interesting cycle.
How are blues and gospel related or different for that matter? What is the distinction between them, or is there even one?
Well, briefly, one sings about the problem and one sings about the answer.
I love that.
No, this woman's getting on my nerves. Oh, Lord, I don't know what to do with this child. You have blues that's just dark, and then gospel's like, but Jesus, oh, he'll fix it. I know he will.
That's a great answer. That's how you tell the difference. It's lyrical. It's the content more than it is the music. The music may be identical. It's just where you are, the day that it is, on a Sunday in this place, and the lyrical content may be the biggest distinction between blues music and gospel.
Exactly. And when Thomas Dorsey coined the term gospel, it was really the good news. It wasn't Negro spirituals anymore. Right. There was a hope to it. Gospel has a light to it that spirituals didn't. And, after slavery came out, there was some hope. It's, Civil War finished, you get in the early 1900s of blues, but then you come out of it. There's a road, there's a path to the light, and that's what gospel is.
Yeah, after Civil War, we had like 5 good years. And they were like, Reconstruction, we don't need this anymore.
People were like, hey,
we went way too far.
You mentioned Sam Cooke before, and there's obviously there's a tension between gospel and R&B and soul. Like there is a tension
so much
between
so
them.
that he had to change his name.
Tell us a little bit about that tension and where the split is between those genres.
Yeah, I grew up in a church family. It was church or the world. It was, it was
secular.
Yeah, because many singers, especially in the mid 1900s, didn't believe you could sing about both. You had to make up your mind and decide, I'm going to sing for Jesus. So you have Mahalia Jackson on one hand, and then you have Ella Fitzgerald on the other hand. Even though they might have grown up very similar.
Dinah Washington comes to mind.
Yeah, exactly. And so you have decisive decisions. And when Sam Cooke came along, he did have a name change, and he sang with the Soul Stirrers on one hand. Oh, there was a woman in the Bible days. Beautiful songs. And then he wanted to do something else. And that was a big decision that could get him ousted from Christianity as a whole. And then
part of the decision making was to reach a wider audience, right? Is that part of where this comes into play? R&B and soul being an opportunity
to just sing about love in general, and not just love to God. But R&B music is about love.
Yeah.
And a lot of those race records didn't even break out of the Black community, but I think it was an opportunity to speak to something more real.
That's why You Send Me Swinging was so special.
Darling, you send me, honest you do, honest you do, honest you do. Whoa.
It did go to #1 worldwide popular charts.
That's a breakout.
And that's when many people heard church runs for the first time. I credit Sam Cooke with introducing the world to some of the runs that we hear today in R&B music.
The idea of taking one note and stretching it, or one syllable rather, one lyric even, and stretching it into multiple notes.
To make it mean more. I want you to know, that kind of stuff. It's just like, it's this roller coaster, but it's not new. It was in classical music. It was in all types of music, but it was just the communication. It's a pleading.
Right, that's true. It does go back. Opera, we have single
the
notes,
Baroque period.
single
it's
syllables
handled,
that do multiple.
Yeah, George Frederick. It's nothing new, but it's just
the context. So we talk a lot about on this show how genre has very little oftentimes to do with the musical content, and so much more to do with the context of who the performer is and who the intended audience is, who the marketplace is.
It's a very interesting line. Yes, you're right.
Because we've just identified how blues, jazz, gospel, R&B, and soul share potentially 80% of the content. Right.
It's true. And I think America itself has ungenreized music. Genre was based on what was around you, instruments that were around you, sounds that were around trees. You make things out of drums. I make metal. I'm going to, Adolph Sax coming with the saxophone. And then all these people coming with their instruments to places, bringing all of their genres and then stirring it up. That's why we had jazz.
Well, let's stir it up a little bit. We want to hear a little bit of Sylvester's gospel. Here is a clip of Sylvester singing, God Bless the Child.
Hallelujah.
God bless the child that's got his own.
Just so all of our listeners are on the same page, and actually I have a question. Can you maybe break down the distinction between falsetto and head voice and talk about why they're so special and distinctive as singing styles?
Yeah, falsetto is an Italian word for a false voice. It's not realistic, but it was a place where you didn't speak. It wasn't your primary voice. Yeah, it was just, I talk here, but I can go up here. And it's a lighter place with different vocal, chords. It's just a different area of your voice. It's like an attic in a house. That's why I think about it. Sometimes you go up there, sometimes you don't, but you live downstairs.
But it's a choice you make to go there. You have to open the door.
It should be. Yeah, it's a choice. It's a choice.
And how is head voice different than from falsetto?
Some people say it's not different.
Okay.
And so these are just made up words to describe something that's very hard to put words to.
It doesn't have to do with the breaths, how the vocal cords are stretched versus not, or something. There's some technical term.
I would say no.
Okay.
I would say other terms for falsetto are head tone, head voice. That's what we would use in school all the time. Say, go to your head voice. Oh! But now when you say mix, there could be a distinction. Mix contains elements of chest voice and falsetto. So, oh! That's louder because it sounds more full, but it's not. It's a mix between falsetto and chest voice. So I would say there's a distinction there.
Okay. That was an expert example, by the way. Thank you.
So you mentioned school. Let's pretend for a second that LUXXURY and I are students.
Okay.
How would you coach us to sing You Make Me Feel Mighty Real? We've been practicing. You want us to get us started going?
You make me feel. Oh, see? I already ate it.
Real.
Come on, give me one more chance. You make me feel.
Oh, real.
So he's got so much more richness already. How do I get more like that and more like you, for that matter?
Here's a little airy.
It's too airy.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not mad.
Give me a you.
You
Make me feel.
feel.
Yeah, I would put you up a little
Yeah,
higher.
I can do higher.
Yeah.
I'm glad we split it up that way because I can't do the verse of this song I was finding in the car.
Yeah, it's too low for
It's
you.
too
Your
low for me.
falsetto kicks in higher.
Kicks in a little higher.
Yeah, your attic is your.
Yeah.
Okay. All right now.
All right, now stop is what I'm hearing. I'm hearing when you say that.
Well, as you see, most men have falsetto.
Mm-hmm.
Is it true that women don't have falsetto? I heard that one time. I'm like, that's impossible.
No, it's not true.
It's not true.
Some women have voices that are very similar to men's voices.
Right.
But some women also have like a middle voice that kind of bridges between their falsetto so they can do different things. But I would say, I'll say many popular female voices are a lot like men's voices.
Yeah.
Like Whitney and Mariah, they have very clear chest voice, very clear falsetto.
Oh my gosh, the range. Wait, so while we're on the subject, because we were talking about his falsetto, more challenging or more strenuous, I had actually heard, and this might just be social media rumor, that the reason Michael used to talk like this was he was trying to save his voice. Now, is there any truth to that? Had you ever heard that? Because we know that Michael had the other voice too.
Singers have so many people in them.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people trying to be one person. And so you'll find singers talking all kind of ways. The old opera singers had transatlantic accents and they talk like this. And they'd say, well, no matter where they're from, they could be born in Italy, France, America, and they all kind of talk like this.
And I can't wait to work with DeMille.
Maria Callas to Leontine Price.
Yes.
And they, Kathleen Battle. But they become something. And they have a tall sound like this when you sing opera. Or pop singers generally kind of sit up here because they know when it's time to record, they have to be a little bit more right here.
What is right here? Like higher and like above the music?
American pop music sits in the high register of your chest voice.
We've said many times on the show, like Drake and Jay-Z, like most of the pantheon of really big rappers, Tyler being a notable exception, they tend to rap up here.
Yeah,
so you can hear them over the beat.
Yeah, and have intensity. I mean, Ariana does it too. She kind of talks when, she has a voice that floats around. People talk about it all the time that, she's in this voice and she's in that voice. But it's a singer thing. I do it when I have to sing. I talk a little higher, but my natural voice is right here. I'm really like more of a baritone. But when I have to start singing, I kind of talk up here.
But there's also voice rest and voice saving techniques that a lot of singers walk around, right? They want the temperature. The temperature should be a certain.
Yeah, it's ice cold in here. I would never have my house this cold.
It needs to be warm.
It's freezing.
You need warm.
Also, I don't usually talk before noon, and I don't talk on the phone so much.
Can I just tell you? I used to work on Late Night with Jimmy Fallon before he took over the night show, and we had Aretha on, and Aretha came into the studio.
I'm sorry.
And
he needs a moment.
I'm already sorry.
So Quest and the Roots are all there. They're in suits. And she's like, it's way too cold in here. It's way too cold.
Did she walk out?
She left.
Yep.
And then they turned off the air conditioning, which within minutes with all those huge lights, like the Roots are melting. Like
and then she comes out with a fur on.
You got to keep the queen happy.
I don't even tell you this. You already do this about
I know this story 100 times. People don't consider singers. Our instrument is right here behind this.
You got to protect it.
We don't have fat and skin really covering the vocal cord. I mean, it's right there for air and everything to pass by. So
she said, "No, you guys gonna have to cut this air off. I'll be back."
No, it's true. I have a thermometer by my bed with a humidifier, and it tells me the humidity in the room. I keep it right at a certain temperature when I sleep. That's a lot of hours of breathing that you got to consider. And you wake up with no voice. You wonder why. You got to watch it.
Who is on your Mount Rushmore of falsetto performances?
Maxwell.
Okay, great.
Marvin Gaye.
Yes.
Boy, this is a tough.
By the way, when we were listening to that God Bless the Child from Sylvester, I heard some Marvin Gaye-esque falsetto.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Prince.
Yeah.
From the first moment I saw you. Prince is like
Truly adore you.
Yeah, Prince.
Don't forget Barry Gibb. Come on.
Of course.
Give it up.
But see, you notice a time period in this. This is Sylvester too.
From 70s, from 69.
Mid-70s.
To like 84.
Yeah, 70s to early 80s. That time was like, Ronald Isley.
Oh, hell yeah.
You have so many guys going up there, and it was the cool thing to be up there.
Earlier, but oh my God, Superfly, Curtis Mayfield.
Yeah, Curtis Mayfield. Oh my goodness.
Wow, that's really interesting.
Earth, Wind, and Fire, hello.
Yeah,
hello.
Philip Bailey.
King Philip.
I'm glad you bring up Maxwell. By the way, he's mentioned so many artists that we've covered on this show. Yeah. Like we just mentioned Marvin Gaye and Prince. We would love to do a Maxwell episode, but like I think that some of these later artists who do falsetto, D'Angelo used to do a lot more falsetto early on.
Yeah, D'Angelo.
Like it is interesting to see how falsetto definitely had like a thing in the 70s.
Yeah.
Early 80s.
And I think neo soul came out of that thing.
Totally.
Because a lot of it's building on the previous ones. Their heroes. Marvin Gaye was one of their heroes.
Exactly.
Right. So there's so many artists. We love their falsetto incredibly, but we think that the difference with Sylvester is it wasn't just a vocal tool. It felt like it was a means to express himself, like his full self, his full identity. And that we feel like that makes his use of falsetto take on a whole different meaning. I
agree. I think that's who he was.
Yeah.
Some people, when they're performing, that's more of who they are. And they've made up a character and they're more comfortable being this thing.
Which is fair, yeah.
And they create themselves. Some people have to find themselves and some people create themselves. And they're more comfortable being that thing than anything. And I think that was his way to express who he felt he was and who he admired.
Right. You were talking earlier about finding a character, how singers find a character
Absolutely.
or have different characters they can choose to be. It seems as though when Sylvester James found falsetto, he became Sylvester.
He became Sylvester. That's exactly how I think about it. Yeah. That's him on the stage. That's him. And he would dress like it and he would give you everything he felt. He would turn into this being of light. He was just of course, he's a church boy. You have the Love Center up there, Walter Hawkins, and you have Daryl Coley. So many greats coming out of the Bay Area experience. There's a Bay Area gospel sound. There's a Bay Area.
What is the Bay Area gospel? So I'm from San Francisco.
I would say it's gospel with hippie influences mixed in. There was a lot of resistance and defiance and revolutionaries. You have so many people and types of people coming around, and I think it was just shocking to people. The sound that came out of it, there was a rock and roll edge to it.
Absolutely. We did on our Sly episode, just the fact that Sly started off in the church.
Yeah.
And that influenced the rock that he was doing.
It was. When you hear Walter Hawkins and Edwin Hawkins singing, "Thank you, Lord, for all you've done for me. Thank you for your power." And they would just go and they'd be like, it was rock and roll.
It's rock and roll.
It's rock and roll. Right. It was so amazing. But
all blended.
That's just all the sounds were included. That's why I say there's no bad sounds. It's all context.
So let's play another Sylvester track and let's talk about the role of his amazing background vocalist. Let's hear a little bit of Dance Disco Heat.
Those of you watching at home, you'll notice one, kind of clean-cut white dude on the synths. That's Patrick Cowley, who plays a big part of the song we're about to talk about today. And he does those little swooshes you hear in the background.
That's very true. This is the time where you're transitioning from live instruments to computerized instruments, too.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of experimental sounds in here. Sounds like going to space.
Absolutely. So we're going to go into that. But we do want to call out, supporting Sylvester up there on the stage, in addition to Patrick, are Martha Wash and Izora Armstead, who later went on to become the Weather Girls and had a hit with It's Raining Men.
Hi, we're the Weather Girls.
All of our songs are going to be precipitation themed. And someone's like, "Hey, we could release 100 albums, y'all."
Really milk this thing.
Oh no, we've run out of things to talk about. My God. Listen, if you haven't heard It's Raining Men, you're probably under 30.
It's one of the best music videos in the world.
Yes.
I stand by it. It's just incredible. You can't help but just love it. It's just everything. It's like Mario Brothers mixed with Mario Brothers 1.
Yes.
Mixed with I don't know what else. It's just amazing. It's like Mario Brothers came to church.
It's back when they were green screens, they were blue screens. Hey, but guess what? Even if you haven't heard of It's Raining Men, you may have heard Martha's voice on Everybody, Everybody.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to make you sweat. Everybody dance now.
Everybody dance now. Everybody dance now. No. I did a little bit better than you. We're going to...
Okay.
Unfortunately.
Falsetto fight. Falsetto fight. Taking you down now. Taking you down now. Take it outside. Falsetto fight.
Don't get me started. I'm trying to be good.
I was just trying to get to a sketch show so fast.
So listen, I mean, I've already demonstrated several times that my falsetto needs a little work. However, it has been in my tool set. Luckily, I'm not coming from a church background. I'm coming from more of a punk background where like anything goes. Look, he's trying it. Give it to him. I have found though that when performing, I have had many terrifying nights where I have lost my voice on stage. It has happened before. It is very scary. Do you have any tips for performing falsetto on stage? Because it is so thin. It is so hard to get power. It is so hard to get volume. What should I do next time?
It starts days before.
Yeah.
It starts way before, the 3 nights leading up to it. Make sure you're sleeping 8 hours a night. Make sure you're eating good. Eat
Really?
good. Eat some food. Eat a plate of food. Like I eat before I
have
sing,
no
like,
appetite before a show, so that's interesting.
You said you have no
I have
appetite?
no appetite before a gig.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah. I
You
need
have
to
to
put
eat
food in there anyway.
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Time to eat.
Why does food relate to voice?
You need nourishment.
Okay.
And you need nutrients
Okay.
for all of your muscles.
Yeah.
And you'll
It is a
burn them
muscle,
out. You
right.
think you're okay, and then they burn out halfway through the show because you're out of fuel. You need a piece of chicken, some rice, and some vegetables, and eat a plate of food. Just a plate of food with some grease
Pollo
in it.
con rollo.
Okay.
It's just something about an hour and a half before, and you'll be fine. Protein shake, if nothing.
Okay.
A protein
Protein
shake.
shake.
Is there an alcohol that helps?
Probably no alcohol.
No alcohol helps.
Yeah, I would guess
There
no
are
alcohol.
0 alcohols that don't dry your voice out. Mentally, I don't know what it can do for you, but not
I'm just
physically.
flashing back to it. I literally did a gig in Birmingham in England, and my voice gave out on stage, and they didn't end up paying me. I was chasing the promoter down all night long with no voice, and the rest of the band was mad at me because we didn't get paid. It was one of the worst
sounds like a great
performances
story.
ever. I just flashed back. I'd blocked that memory out, but it just came back.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I hated that.
So Sylvester's saying, famously in falsetto, but there were some instances where he sang in his natural range, which apparently was quite low. Just for comparison's sake, let's hear how he sounds on Thinking Right.
You'll keep from you. And if you're thinking right,
What is that?
Wow. I've never heard
That
that.
is crazy. Neither have I.
Sounds good.
That beat is hot.
Sounds like a good, different singer.
and if you're
And if you're...
This is after Disco Demolition, so it seems like maybe the label wanted him to not be associated
Yeah.
with disco.
Yeah.
But then the very next year, he's like, screw that, and he says, do you want to funk?
Disco went out fast.
Yeah.
It was like, that? It was like, once, everybody did it, it was just overdone. People did not like it.
Yeah,
They were tired of it.
In theory.
yeah,
Because
Yeah.
I'd always argue that
yeah.
that 80s boogie, that 80s, R&B sound is like, it's like disco then shifted over here.
It is
you know
cut
what I
time.
mean?
Yeah,
Nobody
it's like
stopped
basically
liking
cut
it
time.
Nobody
anymore.
really
It's just-
stopped.
yeah.
Like, listen, off the wall, like
Yeah.
those are disco songs.
Yeah. And the rest of the world
Right.
didn't have Disco Demolition, so they continued
Right.
to listen to dance
The
music.
rest of the world, you had to make your money. So, but I want to point out, his voice here is super low. So I talk about a house theory. You have
Mhm.
downstairs and upstairs.
Yeah,
He had,
he's in the basement.
right. I imagine his house had a lower ceiling downstairs. And then
Wow.
once he got upstairs, he had a lot of room. And that's why
I
you're
like
saying
that.
it's hard for you to jump down to the low falsetto part
Okay.
because I think you have a high ceiling downstairs and then a smaller attic up here that's high.
Interesting.
So I think if
That's
everyone's
cool.
voice is
That's
like a
a cool way to
house
think
with
about it.
with a distinction in the middle,
Right.
and some people's voice flip into falsetto lower, some people's flip in higher, and his flips in low. He's a baritone here.
Mhm.
Yeah, he's hitting this note. Yeah, he's living right here.
Beautiful.
And then he flips over, and when he gets up, he can get to his falsetto low, and then
And take it all the
then
way
go
up,
up there,
too. Yeah.
all the way up. So he has a lot of attic space up there.
Does he have anything missing? It sounds like he has like a pretty complete range.
He don't-
Was anything left out?
He doesn't have anything left out.
I don't think there's anything left out.
I don't
there.
know. When it comes to chest voice, full voice stuff, like
Okay.
I never hear him do that.
Oh, we haven't
That's
heard
where
him belt it.
there's always something you got
That's
to
why he's
get.
got the 2 tons of fun for the belting parts.
They have that part.
They
2
belt.
tons of they got enough
They
support
The
back
girls are
there.
belting it. Yeah, yeah.
I grew up with ladies like that in church.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
By the way,
Choir.
it is so fun to see you sing. It is so effortless. You're like, hitting these notes, but hitting these notes.
I sing more comfortable than I talk. I'd much rather sing than talk.
I'll do the rest of the podcast with singing.
Oh my God,
so.
Singing's the easiest thing for me to do.
Well, listen, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we're going to hear all those incredible driving synths and those mighty real vocal stems from none other than Sylvester when we get back. By the way, Luxury, I have to say, I am so excited that my team, Los Angeles Football Club, is doing big things this season. And one of the things I like the most about this time of year is that I get to throw tailgates, and people expect me not to cook, but to bring the grill. Thankfully, at Wayfair, they have things like portable grills. They have decorations. They've got like lawn games. They have everything you would need for your tailgate. And when you think game day, you might not think Wayfair, but you should.
That's right, Diallo, because Wayfair is actually the best kept secret for incredible and affordable game day finds.
I know, because Wayfair is the ideal place to get game day essentials. We're talking bigger selection, curated collections, options for every budget and price point, unique finds that reflect my style and how I get down. And they also have easy and free shipping. I mean, come on. There's something for every style and home, no matter what your space and budget.
Wayfair makes it easy to tackle your home goals with room ideas and curated collections.
Free and easy delivery, even on the big stuff. We're talking no huge delivery fees for furniture. You can get your sofas, your dining tables, beds, desks, and more ship free.
Find all your must-haves, furniture, decor, appliances, and cookware, all in one convenient place.
Wayfair is your trusted destination for all things game day, from coolers to grills to recliners to slow cookers.
Shop, save, and score today at wayfair.com.
Score or goal! That's wayfair.com. WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. Welcome back to One Song. We're here with the incredible vocal coach, Stevie Mackey, and we're about to get into the stems of Sylvester's You Make Me Feel, parentheses, mighty real. I think the other thing other than falsetto that we've lost in the 70s is there aren't enough parenthetical titles anymore.
So important.
Right.
Don't drop them.
The drawn out.
Yes.
Yeah, just to make sure it's this version and not someone else's.
We are the people of the world, parentheses, parts 1 and 2. Like, that was just such a thing. They don't do that anymore. It doesn't all fit into your MP3. Luxury, you mentioned you found a little surprise at the top of the stems.
That's right. So at the top of the stems, there's a little surprise. I'll play it for you in a second. But first, let me build a little context for it. So the song was actually written originally by James Tip Wirrick, who's the guitar player on the song, gets co-writing credit, gets co-producer credit, who wrote the music at home on his guitar. And originally, it was sort of more of a mid-tempo, like R&B ballad, is how he describes it in an interview I saw. But what happened was when he was playing it for Sylvester, who had come late to rehearsal, so the band is playing this sort of slower version of it. Sylvester hears it, impatiently waves his hands for the band to stop, writes lyrics for it, but only after he says, you got to speed the thing up. Unfortunately, we don't have the original rehearsal tape that Sylvester might have heard with that version of the song, but on the album, there is a slow version. And a surprise that I found in the stems was...
We think this might be...
We think that could be it, or it could just be the reprise, the epilogue version, the slower version of the song on the album. But let's listen. I'm so sorry that I'm going to say good times, but that is how
there is
Oh, yeah, it's gospel.
Sure.
There's a hallelujah in there and everything.
But while you were playing that, you said, what did you say?
From what I know, this is the way it was originally written.
Totally, yeah.
Piano-based gospel style.
It might be, but the reason why we're just saying we're not sure is because on the album, there is a slow version, which I think is this one. And it was, I think, re-recorded to be this good quality. But it could be the original demo. We're not sure. The fun part is that it's just a little snippet. That's all I had as part of these multi-tracks. It's always like a little archaeological dig when you get these things. So that's all there was, this little fragment. And just to isolate, because this is our only Weather Girls we're going to hear. Here are some Weather Girls isolated.
Yes.
In the morning, in the morning, in the morning.
They're having fun.
That is straight up a Negro spiritual.
I like your use
and I will
of that
say
word.
that. It is. That's in the morning, you're singing about something that's going to come, a good time that might happen. And the humming, some people just know how to hum. I have to teach a lot of people how to hum. Humming is an impressive sound. anything hums when you beat it or tell it no.
Yeah.
It's just a
Right.
It's a dark sound.
I like what you're saying about humming because it's a lot like that scene where Delroy Lindo's character in Sinners is recounting something very dark and then he starts humming. I think that scene and what you're saying, they totally make the point that humming can come from real emotion.
When there's no words left to express.
Yes.
Just say, And so that's a church thing. That's and that found its way into gospel.
And now that we've heard the Sylvester song in his lower register, I wouldn't have thought before that was Sylvester at the beginning. But
Yeah. In the morning. Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
That's him.
That's him down there.
Wow.
And he's singing all the parts. You know, he's doing background, front, ground.
He also sounds a little bit like Sly there, right? Is it just me? Like there's a little bit of Sly
He does.
Stone there.
He does.
So ostensibly, that's what Sylvester might have heard, something like that, a slower version of what ends up being the song. But he's like, no. And he starts stomping his foot real fast because this song is really fast. This is 132 BPM tune. He's like, no. What are you doing? Like this. And this is what we heard. Starting with the drums, this is Randy Merritt playing a 132 BPM drum beat, disco all the way. That's what he plays. That's the tune. Of course, there's a little iconic fill you hear a few times. Straight 16th notes.
It's so good though. Why does quadrupling the beats work so much? Like I'm on this road and then all of a sudden you just go
It's an 80s thing.
It's very gratifying. And then I'll give you the full rhythm stack because there's also congas, claps, and some fun stuff in the claps I'll isolate in a second. And that's David Frazier playing percussion. So really the full beat sounds like this. Let's just double back for a second to those claps because we found some fun stuff in there when you isolate them.
What you do, mighty real, make me feel, mighty real, make me feel, mighty real.
So that's like in the clap track.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Because they're having fun. They're people clapping.
Dudes in the 70s just had like some big hands.
Yeah.
You could just hear that. That's a loud clap.
It made your clap better when you
70s
sang with it, though. Just clap. You got to ad-lib and clap at the same time.
No, exactly.
It works.
Even with no instrumentation, that sounds like a party.
That sounds like
That sounds like a good ass party.
Now, to really make this a disco song, however, you need to get that octave bass thing going, which is what Bob
what's
Kingston
happening
did.
in the bass?
What's happening in the bass? You say, well, let me tell you. Bob Kingston is having a little workout. And the little fill right here. That's one of the hooks of the tune.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, the verse.
It's disco fire right there. I really got to stress the speed of this tune. This is a 132.
It's so fast.
The top of the disco.
Do you think he was influenced by
range.
Donna Summer? Would it come out around
Well,
the same
Interesting.
time?
This is actually before Donna's like Hot Stuff and
Before Hot Stuff.
It's before Hot Stuff.
But
and
there was
Bad Girls.
another.
Are you
But
thinking
it's
about I
after
Feel Love?
I Feel Love.
You're absolutely right. We're going to be talking a lot more about that song in just a minute when we get to the Pat Cowley of it all. But great connection. You're totally nailing it.
Got it.
I'm giving you your props as deserved. All right, so I'm just going to build the rest of the instrumental track. Just remember one thing. So James Tip Wirrick on guitar, who you're about to hear, is the co-writer of this song. And again, the original version just had bass, drums, guitar, and keyboards. So we're going to build those, and then we'll pause for a second. Here is James's guitar part, which I love, by the way. Some Rhodes, Michael Finden. Add some piano, but I think this is Sylvester.
Playing?
I think that's Sylvester playing piano. He's credited. I put that bass back in.
Woo! That's so good. That's so good.
I mean, that just sounds like it's Saturday night. It's about 7 p.m. You're trying to get ready. You're trying to figure out what clothes you're going to put on. I mean, like, if you can distill a feeling into a song, like that is
energy.
That's that. That's when
energy.
I play this song. I wonder if they knew that at this point when that like, guys, we got it.
According to the telling, they did not. They just sort of thought of this, the instrument players who were interviewed, the bass player in particular was saying, like, we didn't think that anything of it. Even Sylvester himself didn't bother to write the lyrics down, he says, because he was just like, it's kind of a throwaway in their minds. They didn't really realize until we're about to get to the until in just a moment. But in the moment what you're hearing was made, to them it was just sort of like, we're trying for disco because it's popular and on the charts, and we want one of those hit records right now.
Right.
But they're not necessarily thinking, this is special. We've captured something people will be talking about in 50 years.
Right.
50 years is right.
That's true.
That sounds so good. Can you play a little Isolated Rhodes before we move on?
Oh, I'm so glad
I want to hear the
asked,
Rhodes by itself.
Both of those keyboards, actually. Let's start with the Rhodes. But
that whole step jump is crazy.
So this is Michael Finden. He's credited with Rhodes electric piano. Ooh. And I'm going to isolate the piano because we think this is Sylvester playing piano.
Oh, wow.
And when you listen to it, it sounds kind of wonderfully. Amateur is not an insult. There's something punk rock about it, but he's not hitting everything perfectly.
Yeah.
But it is perfect for the song. Here it is.
Church.
It's real church.
It's so gospel. Banging on the piano. Just
banging.
Oh, yeah.
It's
the old church ladies would play like that. Just whatever.
Just whatever.
I'm done. Take that.
This is what it is.
I'm not fixing it. I love it.
And in the mix, it doesn't really matter. And if anything,
it adds.
You listen to the show, you'll know that having these human things that aren't perfectly lined up makes it that much more special.
Right.
And that all locks in with the drums.
Rose is killing it.
I need these steps. So good. Ooh.
I know. I kind of want to have an instrumental that I can just coast down the street.
I want to make my own version of this song.
Yeah. We've been talking about the vocals. Let's hear some Sylvester vocals.
Yeah.
Verse 1, Sylvester James. You make me feel mighty real.
When we're out there dancing on the floor, darling, and I feel like I need some more, and I feel your body close to mine.
Thoughts on what you're hearing?
He just sang that straight through.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, there's no punches in that. He just sang it straight through.
Single tracked, too.
But he's also channeling some. It's very Aretha to me.
Oh, interesting. In what way?
I can say that.
This whole song is very Aretha coded to me vocally.
Yeah. And it's all blues. Those are all blues. He's singing blues
He's
notes.
not
It's
really
pentatonic.
on the note so much. He's giving each note a pitch center and swimming around it.
I love that. Yeah.
And that is soul music 101.
I like that he didn't leave any gaps in there. It's
What
like,
I-
dun, 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 and I, dun, 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 dun.
What I mean by that is auto-tune would ruin this song.
Yeah.
It would ruin it. These aren't notes. These are just, you
He's
get
kind of
there.
riding the beat too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I just noticed too that he's rhythmically, he's playing off the Rhodes. He's playing the same rhythm as the Rhodes. Let's just put those two things together and hear how that matches.
And I feel like I need some more, and I feel your body close to mine, and I know my love.
I love how they interplay actually, because they match the
dancing.
first half.
I wonder who did it first.
And the second, I was thinking the same thing. I wonder who decided to play off of the different thing to decide that some is going to align and the other one won't.
I can't tell.
Can't tell either.
I mean, you just mentioned Aretha Franklin. I think that he cited Aretha and Patti as influences. What elements of their voices do you think that he was able to echo?
In soul music, it's all about the slides. You're so human and less piano-like. So you want to complement the instruments and not sound like an instrument. You want to sound like a human complementing the instruments.
Right.
And when you sound like a piano, you sound like this. But when you sound like a person, you sound like this. There's no instrument that can do that. It's very human at the core of us. That's what soul is. It's breaking a rule instead of following it.
And for the most part, too, there's a connection there. Again, the lineage going back to all things connected with blues and jazz, etc. But this is distinct from what would be called the European tradition, where actual note placement and perfectionism doesn't. There are arias and recitatives, etc. You will find versions of it perhaps in the classical canon, but for the most part, it is more likely that you will find precision of note placement and going from one note to the next without hitting anything in between as being what is there.
It's the American thing.
Yeah.
Freedom.
Yes.
It's not the composer's idea and the composer brings in a singer. This is new. The singer is a part of the composition. And that's something that we kind of built here in America, the singer-songwriter.
Mm-hmm.
That came after the Roaring 20s and all that. You know, you had the ASCAP and the composers unions. These are the writers of the great songs. And it was done in the European way. And then music changed so much. You have another company, BMI, who had to start by the broadcasters that took blues music in and jazz music. That was a little confusing. We don't know who wrote it. It took elements of this and that. And it got everyone paid. So you have the stylistic music of America with the writers being part of the production that changed everything.
To be clear,
confused publishing forever, you know.
And just to be clear, when you say American music, this is music whose tradition has roots in African music and Black performers and Black artists. That is one of the main distinctions.
It was that, but it doesn't sound like African music, I would say. This is American because it has a darkness to it. American Black music has a darkness that's special. We went through a lot to sound this good. There's a struggle in it that doesn't exist everywhere.
Maybe I should ask it differently. I think what you're saying is so interesting, and I'm learning a lot from it. But maybe phrased a little differently. Do you think that one of the distinctions that maybe I'm hearing is a result of so many of these musical traditions that are American coming from Black Americans or Black art forms? The Black art forms that are jazz, blues, all of these are uniquely American traditions that came from people of color.
Yes, but it took everyone. You needed instruments that came from, you need the organs, you need the saxophone, the horns. It's the soup. It's the gumbo that makes it special. And that's including every single type of person that was brought here, dragged here, chose to come here.
Yeah.
It's the stew of everything.
I got to say, as a member of ASCAP BMI, I did not know that backstory. I didn't know that ASCAP was Timpanelli and all that, and that BMI purposely made sort of it easier for
by
diverse voices to get in there.
1939, when BMI started, I believe there were only 6 Black
That's crazy.
composers or publishers involved in that were getting paid for music.
Insane.
And BMI changed that. But specifically in soul music like this, you hear certain elements like singing from the ground up. There's a pulling up sound that comes from soul music. Like you may be down, but I'm going to pull you up. There's that element that I hear in here. And there's the hums, the humming and the melodies being super important.
That's so great. I'm so happy you're here because this is such a level of detail about vocal analysis that I don't have in my background, in my experience. So I'm learning a lot from you. Thank you.
I would love to hear the chorus. You stopped us before we got to the chorus.
I'm not sure you're allowed to hear. Are we allowed? Do you think do we deserve to hear the chorus? You ready for it? I think we might be ready.
Let's hear the chorus.
Ready to dance?
Ready to dance.
You make me feel
Come on.
mighty real. You make me feel mighty real.
I mean, it's so good. I mean, like, who would think Mighty, he stretched out that I. Mighty real. It's so good.
My.
He puts the my in Mighty.
Yeah.
Because he's real. And I got to keep going back to, he was riding the groove, almost like a percussive instrument, kind of like the Rhodes. Rhythmically, what do you think he's doing with his voice?
I think he's the least rhythmic thing happening in the song.
There were only 4 instruments, but they were all playing different rhythms.
Right, they're all playing different rhythms. That's really cool too.
Yeah. Locked in by the drums and by his voice, anchored by the top and the bottom of the whole sort of stack, if you will.
And you notice this song doesn't stay the same tempo the whole song.
It doesn't. It fluctuates.
And there was
a lot.
no click track, and that's something I try to get away from sometimes.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Let people just humanly feel. Sometimes the chorus should be a little slower. Sometimes it should be a little faster.
Yeah.
But the song drives. That's what we call it. It's driving. And just like driving, it can take off. Earth, Wind, and Fire would do it all the time. Bands would do it all the time. And the end of the song is nothing like the beginning. And if you're on The Voice or a show and they're trying to say, well, this song is at 1:30, that's nice to think, but then by the end of the song, it doesn't feel right.
Yeah, it gets to 135.
Because it drives.
Yeah.
And you got to take into account where the song goes. When you're doing, tempo mapping for these songs, you have to make a map because it changes.
I love the speed of this song.
Yeah.
I love the
Runaway Train. It's
a runaway train.
Runaway Train. I love it.
It's a fun tempo, man. I mean, as we were saying as we were preparing for this episode, it's hard to find any songs of almost any genre, other than maybe like some punk, in this sort of 132 to 140 range. By the time you're 140, you're right back into sort of like the slowest hip hop, because that's like 70. But like seriously, like 132 is like so incredibly fast.
That's fast. That was faster than like Ain't No Mountain High Enough and some of the familiar songs at the time.
Yeah.
Move On Up,
is
a little fast, but it's not a dance song in the same way.
Yeah, that was gospel.
This one feels like 132 is full on dance.
Should we hear verse 2?
Let's hear the second verse.
My note for verse 2 is so cute.
When we get home, darling, and it's nice and dark, and the music's in me, and I'm still real hot, and you kiss me there, and it feels real good, and I know you'll love me.
Here it comes.
Like you should.
He steamed up that
He took his time to get to the top of that.
I love it. Always start from the bottom in soul music. You just build
Luther
it up.
does that a lot. He'll go,
Yeah.
I love it.
All right,
Oh,
and
that's
chorus
amazing.
2 is a little different too. We're ramping up the energy here too.
Oh, you make me feel
Yes.
mighty real.
Come on.
You make me feel mighty real.
It hits that blue
This
note
is
there.
perfect.
Yeah.
It's perfect. It's slightly
perfect.
stronger than the first one. There's a little bit of difference, but you can still sing along. It's perfect.
It's perfect. Part of the perfection of songs of this era, too, is how imperfect it is in terms of inconsistency.
Yes.
In terms of little slight variations and
Yes,
changes
artists,
across it.
please pay attention.
Yeah, we're not,
Don't fly your second
we're not flying it in.
chorus.
We're not copying and pasting
Sing
anything.
it again.
Mm-hmm. It's a little different. It's a little bit. The difference is
Yes.
part of what makes it charming.
Just at the end when it goes to the main, it builds up to this. It does this big climax.
Oh, you make me feel
Right there. That was right.
Is it?
mighty real.
Yeah.
You make me feel.
Yes. I think he's making this whole thing up.
Oh, yeah. It's all
I
about
don't think he planned one thing.
It's all about it.
I think he's just
He's ad-libbing.
he's having fun and it just went into it.
Yeah.
And sometimes
He's
he doesn't know
feeling the
what note he's going to go to,
Yeah.
and it's always right. It can't be more right. You can't fix
You can kind of
this.
tell, right? You can kind of
Yeah,
tell. Like,
he's in
about
between.
to-
You don't know which one to land,
and
but
sometimes he doesn't quite decide fully.
right. And that's just fine.
It's just fine.
Oh, I love it.
One recurring theme on this show is that people will spend 2 weeks on this song that they just know is going to be, that song. And then they'll be like, okay, we got 15 minutes left. You want to do one more? And that's the song.
That's the take.
That's the take.
Yeah.
That's
and the
the
song
because they're
blows
hungry
up
and they
for
got to
them.
go somewhere.
All right, I made a note here. This is the Gettin' Dirtier part. Let's see what that means.
Make me feel real. Make me feel real.
That goes on for quite some time.
We've gotten a long way from the church.
Yeah, this is Sam Cooke. He's having a Sam Cooke moment. He's breaking away.
My
He's breaking
goodness.
away.
Okay, yeah, I never.
You can't be like, Corinthians. Like, that doesn't sound appropriate. Yeah.
No. This is a whole different level.
It's a weird relationship.
Mighty real.
There is someone who we have to mention who is an unsung hero on this track, and that is Patrick Cowley. The story goes that he heard a demo of You Made Me Feel Mighty Real and then added those beloved synths that we all know on this song. So what we basically have up to this point is what Patrick probably heard on the demo. Luxury, can you play us back what we've heard so far?
So this is obviously the final recording, but here's what Patrick might have heard in terms of the instruments that would have been in the demo that he heard. Right? So it's just the drums and percussion and then bass, guitar, keyboards, and Sylvester singing. So just a little bit about Pat Cowley, the unsung hero of our episode. He's born in 1950 in Buffalo. He was a drummer who moved to San Francisco in 1971. And he was a lighting technician at a disco called City Disco. And it's around this time that he starts making his own bootlegs, basically. He took some electronic music classes at City College of San Francisco, and he had access in the early 70s to these brand new machines, these brand new synthesizers. So one of the experiments he does is he takes one of our favorite songs of all time, and the one that you mentioned earlier. He takes Donna Summer's I Feel Love, again, possibly the greatest song of all time. And I don't want to say he makes it better, but he definitely makes it different, and he enhances it in this really interesting way that I'll play for you now. And that includes doubling its running time to 15 minutes. This is Donna Summer's I Feel Love mega mix with Pat Cowley overdubbing on top with his synths. So he's adding that, and he's soloing on top of it.
Wow.
But again, to be clear, he didn't have the multi-tracks. He didn't remix it.
Right.
No.
He
no.
added
over it.
on top of it.
Just on top of what was
But
there.
this becomes a legendary white label that all the DJs, it blows up on the underground disco scene in San Francisco. It gets put out by the famous DiscoNet series, which was an early record pool that all the DJs would get the hot tunes from. And then Casablanca eventually puts it out as an official
And
release.
I saw that it's copyright 1977. I think that's always been an interesting confluence culturally for me, that Star Wars comes out in 77, and you have all this spacey disco.
All this came from
coming
us
out.
going to space.
I think,
By the way,
how did I miss that? Of course.
1969,
Yes.
we, as Americans, went to space. And we
Right.
celebrated it so hard because we beat China and Russia and everybody else to space. And out of that comes everything space. You have LAX being built with the space thing and the thing.
Encounters,
and every, the Jetsons and all this. Everything was space. Star Trek, Star Wars. You have tons of space theme, Disneyland, Futureland, Tomorrowland. Everything is space. And so the theremin is a popular new thing that makes weird sounds. So it took any spacey idea of what space sounds like, which space has no sound, but we gave it a sound.
Ironic.
So if you were pitching an idea, you'd be like, so it's called Space? They're like, yes.
So Pat Cowley, this is a legendary underground dance song that he has created as a bootleg. So Sylvester meets him at Cabaret in San Francisco, a gay disco, having known that he's done this legendary tune, and invites him to come add something to Mighty Real. So let's listen. So this is Patrick Cowley, having heard and that demo. What he's adding to it, very similar to what he did with the Donna Summer, remix,
Bootleg,
is he took his synths, he took his EML Electro Comp 101. These are really early and rare synths, by the way. They're monophonic. And he had this early sequencer. He had stuff that nobody had. And he knew how to use it. Again, this is 1978. There's Giorgio Moroder, there's Mark Cerrone, there's Kraftwerk. It's still new to have this in disco, this integration of things. And it's happening very literally on this song when he adds, in particular, this bouncy bass line, which again, I think is the EML or sequenced with an Oberheim from 1974. So think about how that's merged with the bass line.
Oh, wow.
Interesting to hear them together, right? There's two bass lines in this song.
They're kind of different time.
Yeah.
It's so good.
And the drums are what lock them together. But that's one incredibly special thing that in 1978 sounded like space. Like that sounded
Oh, no,
like,
it sounds like an advertisement for a Tandy computer. Like it's like, now you've got a gigabyte of memory.
But there's another synth part that I'll play for you now, which is him going just apeshit. And that's happening under this.
What?
It's like avant-garde, experimental.
This is in the song?
It's in the track. So he recorded a whole take, basically, of him just messing around.
Oh, my
And they ended up finding a couple of bars a little bit later of that. But you're hearing the entire performance of him just like jamming.
The record label was like, Patrick, we brought you in to do one thing.
Yeah. This
And
is
you're doing this weird
shit. So cool to hear him feel it out.
We also have this echoey thing, which is just this percussive effect, which if you didn't know better, might think it was somebody just shaking something.
What?
But that's a synth.
Right. I always thought that was a guitar. Wow.
And it just is part of the rhythm section.
It is. I thought it was a guitar. It's different. Wow.
It does what a tambourine does, and later on there is a tambourine. I'll play them
Really?
together.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, it is that tambourine.
It's like having 2 tambourine players.
I wonder if
one of
that's
them's a robot.
Sylvester playing tambourine.
I'd like to think that it is. I don't even want to look it up.
I don't even want to look it up. I can just see him. Give me that.
He's jumping between piano, tambourine, and singing.
Yeah. Those
Tambourine
are
is
church instruments.
One instrument I feel we all play with great confidence.
Yes. Yes.
Nobody's like, my tambourine's sloppy.
You won't get one because tambourines are given by God.
Yes.
They're given down from, you don't go to the store and buy it. They appear.
Where have you ever seen a tambourine on
for sale? No, you get it from the pew.
The church, it gets dropped off at the church.
It gets dropped
Nobody
off
asks any
if
questions.
you've
They
earned
bring it inside.
If you've earned it.
If you've earned it.
Well.
Listen, you were talking about space sounds before. There's a pretty important space sound on this tune.
Yes. That's what I'm waiting.
Here it is.
That. I've been waiting for you to play that.
Not only is that a space sound, but it's like a 60s like sci-fi
It's 60s
movie.
sci-fi.
Right?
I just took off in a rocket that can't go to space, but I'm in a
So
movie
NASA
studio.
is launching my ship. There's a 50-50 chance I make it to space. It's me and, they sat me next to a dog and a monkey. I don't know how much faith they have in this shuttle.
It's like, what is
The Day the Earth Stood
Go.
Still.
Yeah.
Tomorrowland, right?
It's
Disneyland.
so Tomorrowland, the rocket that's just on a stilt that just goes up and down. Oh, that's so good.
There's another one too. There's also this sound you probably were thinking of.
Sounds like Reading Rainbow. Sounds just like Reading Rainbow.
Yeah, you're right.
And
Or like a European airport sound a little bit.
That
to
could
my
be
ear.
that.
Yeah.
Yes, and the show that came on after Reading Rainbow.
I'm thinking of Mutual of Omaha's Animal Kingdom. It's like, and now it's time for the show.
These sounds are so evocative of these eras
God.
because that's when the
Yes.
machines were made and first used.
Yes.
So once they're used in those old recordings, we just associate with the time period.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, Stevie, now that we've heard the song, what do you think the legacy of You Make Me Feel Mighty Real and really Sylvester's legacy at large is?
I mean, anytime you're at a party or at a club and you turn on and you hear Madonna, you hear Cher, you hear, you hear great party music.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, this song comes on and you're like, this is probably the oldest song that's being played tonight.
Still getting played, yeah.
And that's how you know which song leaves the biggest legacy. And it's been included in so many lists of best songs.
Best songs, movies.
Yeah, Rolling Stones list of best songs
Yeah.
at one point, I think 2021. And it's different dance lists. It is always cited because it was so crazy and innovative, and it sounds like the party. It sounds like this picture. Everyone who knows that this is the cookout sandal. If you go to a cookout, that's the cookout
Looking at
sandal.
the
This
cover
means
of
fun.
That's Stacey
I'm about to
Adams. She makes
barbecue.
that shoe.
I'm about
Yeah.
to party
Step
and have
2.
fun. And the drink is falling because she's kicked it over. I don't know what's in this party
That
drink.
drink looks horrible.
It looks like it'll keep you awake for 3
Well,
weeks.
she's barefoot, so she's been at the party
You'll
for a
be-
while.
She's been there for a while.
Yeah.
You'll be awake for a fortnight drinking that. And then you have the sock and the pants. This is the party.
That's the
Yeah,
party.
that is the
Knocked it
party.
over. And that's
This
what
is
the
the
song
peak of the
White
party because
slacks.
after that breaks and she steps on it because she has no shoes on.
Party's moving into phase
It's on
2.
the downward slope.
Phase
but
3 of the
that is
party.
the peak of the party right there.
But it sounds like this. It's just everything. It gets the party started. And I wish people would play the stems more. That is so cool. I love hearing the stems by themselves.
Earlier, you were making a comment about today's singers, and I almost asked you this then, but I'm going to ask you now. What can today's singers learn from how Sylvester approached this song?
Oh my goodness. So much.
So much.
So much. I think, of course, everyone under 20 is born with the idea of perfect notes make perfect songs.
Yeah.
They were born into an amazing pop revolution, but then everything they heard after that was pretty much tuned.
Yeah.
And it's amazing what a voice can do when it's a little bit to the left or right or underneath or over. We can add so much emotion by not being perfect.
I agree.
And playing a song and singing it from the beginning to the end. When I get in the studio and vocal produce, I make the artist sing the song through. One good time. I don't care how well you know it. Just sing it all the way through. Let me feel what happens to your voice and to your person
Great advice.
as you sing the song from beginning to end.
Instead of comping sections. Like,
And
give me
yeah, and
50
I don't mind going
verses.
back and comping.
Sure.
But I don't want to, I compare it to the version that sung all the way through and make sure we
Right.
got there.
That's what we just heard. We just heard Sylvester. That was one. It sounded like one
Yeah.
take all the way through.
It
Yeah.
probably was just
Because
like,
if it wasn't, they would have fixed, quote
Right.
unquote, some of the things we did that were imperfect.
Exactly. They just left it.
Yeah.
And you find some of the greats doing that in their song, Luther and them. They knew the song when they got in the studio and they sang it. And I would even implore singers to get in the same room and record. I don't care if it bleeds. I don't care if
Wow.
it bleeds. And working with Coldplay, Chris does that a lot. Chris Martin will be in a room and we'll be singing and he'll be banging spoons over here and a cup, or we'll laugh and he keeps it in the track. And he understands the importance of feeling in a record. And I love that about him. And so artists need to just record and not be afraid. Record an SM58 if you have to. Just record and sit around. These mics, weren't better than this one.
No.
It makes it more musical because the energy of the performance is there.
Yeah.
You're playing off of what else is happening.
Yeah, let it bleed in, record, look at each other, laugh, move with it and see what happens with that version. If you want to fix things, go back and do it later.
But you're so right. The standard of perfection that people are born into now is so high and sterile. That's exactly right.
Let the piano go flat a little bit.
Okay, before we end the show, we want to play a game with you. It's called What's One Song? Here are the rules. We'll ask you a question, and you'll give us a one-song answer. Here's the trick. Don't overthink it. Answer as quickly as possible. What's one song that inspired you to become a singer?
If I should say just one song that blew me away.
All right.
I was modulating. That's
that
why
was
I didn't sound
wow. That was a punk version. I love it. Please release that.
Release it meaning delete.
What's one song that always gives you chills?
I'm gonna make a change for once in my life. I love this song.
It's such a good song.
It's everything about it is right. The choir, the responsibility, the words. Every single thing about that song is right.
What's one song you could listen to on repeat forever?
Ain't No Mountain High Enough, Diana Ross.
There you go. Love it.
I love that song.
What's one song that surprises people when they learn you love it?
Every theme song I play in my house, I love theme songs. Cinema
TV
songs.
themes?
Yes. I grew up
What's
in
your favorite
California.
TV theme?
Theme songs. I have playlists of them.
What's the best?
That's a great TV theme to you.
There's a time to love and a time for a chance to love. All of them. And the Cheers.
Is that Growing
Making your
Pains?
way in the world
Oh,
today
that's Cheers,
takes
yeah.
everything you got. And thank you for being a friend.
Of course.
There's so many great theme songs. And having ADD, I didn't have the attention span for a whole song.
Believe it or not, I'm walking on there.
I love them all. I love them.
Can I say one of my personal favorites? I never watched the show, but WKRP in Cincinnati is Baby, if you ever wondered what became of me. And then at the very end he says, I know that you and me were never meant to be. It's like, wait a second. You're going to say that to the end of the song? Like, that's so weird.
And what about Bob James on Taxi? Like,
classic.
What? They would never do that nowadays. It's gorgeous.
Dun, 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 dun.
And theme songs have a lot of key changes and stuff in a short time.
Yes.
To keep your interest.
Oh, these are the masterful session musicians of the day.
Oh, my
that are playing
I just like that a show like Law and Order still has the same theme song it had going all the way back to the 80s. Mike Post just counting checks.
Every song I get is a case, so I'm like, this is what it is.
Totally.
Where did that come from? It's amazing.
We're actually talking about doing a future episode of this show where we just break down some TV themes.
Just invite me to sit
We
in the
have to
corner.
have him on so we can sing them.
I'll just be one of just put me somewhere on the
We'll be like,
shelf.
Charlie's Angels. Lost.
I'll show you my list too. It's great.
Lost has one note. It's not even a song.
What's one song we have to break down on a future episode of One Song? And if we don't have the stems, will you come in here and recreate all the parts vocally for us?
Ooh, that's a great question. I'm going to say Quincy Jones.
Whoa.
Tamia, you put a move on my heart. Let's
Wow.
go.
I don't have them. You're in. You're coming in.
The backgrounds
You
on that
promised.
song,
It's on tape.
everything about
Tamia
it.
slept on.
I know. She's a great singer.
She's great.
She's an excellent, excellent singer.
You have worked with so many legends, and yet sitting here with you, your voice is fantastic. And you have a great look. So my question to you is, are we going to have your albums to purchase and buy coming soon?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. For many years, I liked being in the background more than the front ground.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not afraid of being in the front. I love to sing. I want to do like a Disney album of my favorite songs, maybe a Disney R&B album, a Negro spirituals album. I love spirituals. I mean, I love.
Maybe we'll call it Black
I love
spirituals.
anthems. I love standards.
Yeah.
I love cinema music.
Yeah.
I would do that. I want to make different albums with different themes.
Yeah.
And I think every year from now on, I'll come out with a different album with a different theme, and I don't even care where it goes. I want it to just go into the universe and live wherever it wants and just make music and put it out.
Where can the people find you on social media?
I'm on Instagram a lot, Stevie Mackey, and TikTok. I love social media. I love what I make it to be. And I think it's helped every single person who wants to be an artist. They have a voice and they have a way to do it now that I didn't have when I was 18 years old. It took a lot of effort to do what's very easy now. So there's no excuses. Get online, control it, do what you want, but you let people see you if you want them to hear you. You know, let people hear you, make them hear you. So I'm Stevie Mackey. I'm on all the stuff. And check me out there.
Stevie, thank you so much for coming on
Thanks
One
so much,
Song. Thank you so much.
You're absolutely welcome. I had so much fun. I could do this all day. I love it.
Well, good, because we have 5 more episodes to do.
Oh, Lord.
As always, you can find us on Instagram and TikTok. You can find me on Instagram at Diallo, Diallo, and on TikTok at Diallo Riddle.
And you can find me on Instagram at LUXXURY and on TikTok at LUXXURYXX.
And you can follow our podcast on Instagram and TikTok at One Song Podcast for exclusive content. You can also watch full episodes of One Song on YouTube and Spotify. Just search for One Song Podcast. We'd love it if you'd like and subscribe.
Also, be sure to check out the One Song Spotify playlist for all of the songs we discuss in our episodes. You can find the link in our episode description.
And if you've made it this far, we think that means you like the show. So please don't forget to give us 5 stars, leave a review, and share us with someone who you think would like it. It really helps keep the show going. LUXXURY, help me on this thing.
I'm producer, DJ, songwriter, and musicologist LUXXURY.
And I'm actor, writer, director, and sometimes DJ, Diallo Riddle.
And this is One Song. We will see you next time.
This episode is produced by Melissa Dueñez. Our video editor is Casey Simonson. Our associate producer is Jeremy Bimbo. Mixing by Michael Hardman and engineering by Eric Hicks. Production supervision by Razak Boykin. Additional production support from Z Taylor. The show is executive produced by Kevin Hart, Mike Stein, Brian Smiley, Eric Eddings, Eric Weil, and Leslie Guam.
Yeah.
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 Yo.
Yeah.
Yo. Yeah.
Yo, yeah.